Hi, everybody. Welcome back to SaaS Founder Stories. My name is David Brennan, and today I've got Spencer Dusebout with Aidium, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his company and teach us a little bit from his experience. Welcome to the show, Spencer.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Nice, dude. Well, let's kick it off. Tell us a little bit about Aidium.
Yeah, sure. ADM is call it like an end-to-end solution, primarily working in mortgage, although we kind of are work with anyone that is involved in a real estate transaction. It could be a realtor, title insurance, things like that. And we're really that end-to-end solution to help streamline the process of lead conversion, transaction management, and sort of the marketing component to continue to provide value to customers once a transaction closes. And so that's sort of initially how we started, and we've layered on some kind of data aggregation and data warehousing capabilities as well. But yeah, that's ADM in a nutshell for you.
Cool, man. So give me a use case. Like, who am I? What do I do? How do I use it?
Yeah, so I think the best use case would be when you think about, let's say, like an independent mortgage bank or a brokerage. Um, they have a number of loan officers that work for them that are out there underwriting loans. And the primary source of their business comes from referral partners. So typically, when you go to do a transaction, or buy a home, you talk to a realtor passes you off to lender to get you pre-qualified. Basically, they don't want to take you around on the weekends if you can't afford it. So they want to make sure you're pre-qualified and can't afford it. Um, and really, what that means is these loan officers sort of have their own book of business, and they have a lot of power in the sense that they could take that book of business from their current bank they're at to another bank and really not be that affected. It turns out that banks are good at underwriting loans. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in business. So for us, like we try to balance the needs of the enterprise, which is compliance, it's cohesive branding and marketing, and the needs of a lot of these loan officers who everyone does things a little bit differently. And so for us, the use case is the bridge between the bank, between the loan officer. How can we let the loan officers kind of customize and build their own flows within kind of the enterprise controlled software? And so that way it keeps everyone happy. It keeps the enterprise happy from a compliance branding standpoint. And it keeps the loan officers happy because they feel like they are enterprise supported, but they also are able to kind of put their own spin on things and do their own flows. And this was a problem that wasn't really solved prior to ADM. What you'd see is a lot of enterprises supporting 5 different systems, and of course, corporate didn't want to crack down a lot of times on the loan officer and say you got to use this corporate system if it was limited, because the loan officer could say I'm just going to go somewhere else. And so that's really the goal, is to bring these two parties together and ensure they're aligned from a technology standpoint.
So, who's your ideal customer? Who are you selling to?
We sell to independent mortgage banks, brokerages, kind of commercial bank things like that. Some credit unions. So that'd be on the enterprise side, and then I think we also try to focus on the end user, the loan officer, to make sure that they have a great experience. So I'd say now we're a little more enterprise oriented. Initially, our roots were more serving the loan officer would buy our software and use it. And we still do some of that, but it's gone a little more upstream to where the independent mortgage bank is buying it and rolling it out to their team and Salesforce.
And so that's interesting. So you started with the actual loan officer, and then you moved to the enterprise. Cool, man. Well, that's awesome. So, tell me, what's the big challenge that you solved in the last 6 months that you want to teach us about?
Yeah, I mean, I think first off, I'm sure many SaaS founders can identify with this, and if you can't, then good for you. But it was a tough year for SaaS in 23. It was an even tougher year for kind of property tech, mortgage. I mean, a lot of who we work with says, say 2023 was as bad, if not worse, than 2008. So, of course, there was the financial crisis. So it was a brutal market environment. There's lots of consolidation, a lot of challenges. I think for us, it was really a matter of getting people to do the change management from an enterprise perspective. Of course, they had to trim their staff. They had less resources. And, what I told the team over and over again is, look, in a great environment, people move from just a C product to a B product. But in a tough environment, they don't. Like, they got to move. They have to, they'll move. So we got to be that A product. So they're moving from maybe a C product to an A product. And so I think for us, it was really two things. It was investing in the product in a sense to make it compelling enough to get people to move, but also understanding what was that really compelling reason to buy and why would someone need to make the move today. And for us, we solved that by really clearly focusing on this bridge concept, and really quantifying how that can help the bank essentially retain their good loan officers, recruit additional loan officers by sort of having this bridge concept, and also, of course, increase efficiency and slow down costs by kind of having one piece of technology and supporting five or six. And so I think for us, it was just great. These are the concepts that are resonating. So then how do we build the product around this in a way where it becomes kind of a no-brainer to get people to move? And I think there's one thing I'll add too. It's, I think there are some, while some of these, there's some marketing components we had to build too. Like, it's not, I would say, our North Star, but these were a couple pieces of functionality that, the industry was used to, and we just sort of had to check the boxes on them because that was a big point of friction to get people to move. Even if these companies are like, yeah, I agree, there's not a ton of value, but people use them and it's hard to take it away from people, especially in a tough environment. And so I think for us, we just had to, kind of check a couple of boxes and then really orient around kind of what the market was resonating with.
So let's dig into that because I think that's really interesting. How did you, like, really tactically, how did you understand what was resonating with the market? Like, if I wanted to go and do what you did, what are the steps that I'd actually have to do that?
I think it's asking the question of a prospect or somebody you got to know that's like, hey, I like this, but I don't want to move. Like, well, what would you need to see to move tomorrow? Right? Like, because a lot of times it's people, and especially in enterprise sales, which is not essentially, we kind of move to more enterprise sales, but it's longer sales cycles. And the question is, well, how can you have something that's so urgent that people are like, okay, like we gotta move, and maybe we'll even double pay for a little bit, right? It's just like, how can you get to that level? And so I think it was asking people like, well, this is the value proposition. And for them, a lot of times it's like, well, could you prove this to me? Then this makes it easier for me to kind of push this forward or to justify it. And so I think tactically it was just understanding what's the urgent thing, and then being able to build some case studies around, we can clearly demonstrate this to you and demonstrate what this means to your business. And I think that helped increase the urgency. And simultaneously, it's asking what is it that we don't do or we're not, that is kind of stalling out this process. And I think like being very collaborative about it, like I'm not trying to deconstruct your arguments or reasons. I really just want to know, like, I'm trying to build a great product and I know if I can solve this problem for you, it's going to help the industry and it's going to help you and it helps Aidium as well. And so I think being really collaborative, and that's where we kind of got the insights in the marketing. Like, I agree with you, like nod, but this is a real problem for me. And it is kind of hanging it up that you just are missing a couple of these little things. And I think it's like valuable. It's like, okay, well, because in the conversations, like I wouldn't have gathered that until you really asked those very pointed questions and came at it very collaboratively with them.
And so did you, because I think that's genius personally, because I think having worked with sales teams and build product and all that good stuff, lots of times you try and teach your sales team, hey, you are the tip of the spear for everything for us from a standpoint of gathering information, asking the right questions, bringing that back to the rest of the team so they can actually hear it. How did you like get your team to actually ask those questions, or what was the thought pattern for you to like switch into that mode? Like, hey, we need to actually start talking about this and understand this with our customer.
So I think first off, like as a SaaS founder, you own the go to market until you get to a certain scale. And that's just the reality of it. And this is coming from someone that is technical and is a product oriented founder. But the idea that you're going to build a product and then have a director of sales figure out how to sell it, it happens. It rarely happens though. Right. And so, and we had a really good flywheel going in a good market, and the flywheels slow down. And so I looked at it and said, I need to be involved in these conversations and figure out how we kind of start this flywheel, so to speak. It's the biggest buzzword ever, but it's just, momentum, whatever you want to call it. Like, we were selling a lot, it slowed down. Okay, what do we need to do to sell more in this market? And so for me, it was just inserting myself in those conversations, asking the questions, and of course, having the team ask the questions, collaborating with everyone. It was an extremely collaborative effort. It takes a couple of times to get it right. Like, you think you're on to, it's like if you've done a fundraising and you pitch a VC, first time you pitch a VC, it's not your best, it's in the 10th time, it's like, okay, I see a twinkle in their eye. And then the 20th time, it's like, okay, I'm on, like, I know it now. And so it's just that part of refining with the team. And, but I would encourage every SaaS founder, it's like, if, look, you got to get in those rooms and understand exactly what it takes and to kind of figure it out. So yeah, it's something that I got very closely involved with, and it's something that I made clear to the team. Like, look, we got to figure out how to be this A and what's missing, and here's things we're thinking about. Let's test these talk tracks and see how people respond.
So what's the one takeaway that you want every SaaS founder to know and take into their business after that?
Yeah, I think the big takeaway is you as a founder, I feel like and myself as well, the job is to really understand, like, it's to kind of crack the code to get to that like tipping point moment of this product is really meeting an urgent unmet need in the market.
Mm-hmm.
And once that happens, then building a team and hiring around you to execute is great. But until that happens, I think it's you figure that out. And I've certainly made this mistake. Most founders do. And so that'd be my encouragement is, look, don't hire 50 people or 10 people or 5 people, whatever scale you're at, until you really feel like you've cracked that code. And then once you've cracked the code, great. Then you hand off the plays to the sales director. You tell the sales director, this is how we sold these 5 customers exactly. Now I want you to optimize this and build a team around this, versus I got this product. And of course, every salesperson is going to say, I can sell it. And they might, but like, you need to tell them this is what works, and let's go, here, this customer, this pitch, great. Let's go find 100 customers like this and pitch it the same way, and let's win a bunch of deals, right? And so I think going slow until you figure that out is great. And if you need to tinker with it again because market conditions change or something, like that's okay as well. So that's nice. The one thing I feel like I've learned through all this.
Well, I think you nailed it. Well, that was awesome, man. I'm so excited to learn about your company. What's the one thing that the community can help you with?
I think the thing the community can help me with is I love to strike up conversations and with kind of similarly minded founders or people that are looking to start a business. And I think I love to understand where kind of the puck is going from a product R&D perspective. It's like we've all done this where you think about building this piece of functionality and it already exists and can be just integrated in 2 minutes, or someone has a really creative solution. And so I love the mind share from a standpoint of like, where is SaaS going? What are some cool things people are doing? Conversely, what are cool things we're doing? And, can we help each other out and figure out ways to bring value to the market, quicker and oftentimes in a kind of less expensive manner. It's just having that knowledge is key. So I love those conversations. Cool. And love to connect with anyone that obviously listens to the show.
Cool, man. Well, we'll get everybody that's creating to contact you.
Love it. And LinkedIn's the best spot for that if you want to find me there. But yeah, look forward to it.
Cool, man. Well, thank you very much, Spencer, for being on the show. Can't wait to stay in touch. And it was great chatting with you, man.
Yeah, thanks, David. Great to be on it as well.